Hey, welcome everyone to the 24K Life podcast. I am your host, Derick Gant. You know what? We love to have people on that are interesting, that are supportive, that are insightful, and we have done that at a really amazing spiritual level. Now, I hired a spiritual coach a few years ago because I knew out of all the core elements, you talk about your mindset, your communication, your relationships, your physical health, your spiritual health, your mental health, all the things that I needed to brush up on the spiritual side. So not only am I brushing up, I'm bringing someone in, the Swami, to help you brush up. She is an amazing woman. I don't know a lot, but I know she's amazing. And I know that she has some insights. You can just tell from her spirit. You don't have to know her history. You can just feel her presence when she talks. We were just talking about the weather, and I just felt better. And we were talking about how bad the weather was, and I felt better. So I look forward to you and I learning more about Swami together right now on the 24K Life podcast. Now listen, don't forget, like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. It's the only way we can help more people do better to live that 24K lifestyle. With that, we're going to meet Swami together. Swami, how are you?
Derick, it's amazing to talk with you.
I'd like to think it is, but we'll find out. Hopefully it is amazing to talk to me. I know I'm looking forward to speaking to you and learning more about what you do, how you do it. And most importantly, I had already decided before the interview that I was going to ask you the ending question first. But before I ask you that first question, I want you to tell us a little bit about your history and your background. Have you always been so inclined to be so spiritual?
Great question. Thank you. And thanks to the listeners. And as I speak, I'm inviting Derick, I'm inviting the listeners to connect with what I'm talking about in terms of your own life. And so the story that I tell is just almost like an invitation or an entry point for you to connect with the awareness that I'm talking about in my own life. So I'll just start like right where I am right now. So Swami Nityananda is the name that my meditation teacher gave me. My meditation teacher was Swami Shankarananda, and he founded our meditation community in Baltimore. And the name of our community is Awake Yoga Meditation. And so when I met my teacher, that was in 2010, there was an amazing sort of recognition. I guess that's the way that I would put it. Like the moment I saw my teacher, there was a recognition of, you could call it like light, calling to light or something like that. And I think we all do this for one another. And so I'm inviting everyone to think about those moments of awareness that you have had, where you've had a sort of, you come into contact with a human, and that human is living in inspiration or joy or success or creativity or service or kindness or wisdom. They're just amazing, and they're fully present here in human form, and they inspire you to be fully present and to unfold even more of your strengths and your skills and your potentiality than you have already unfolded. So it's like light calling to light or strength calling to strength. And so when I met my teacher, Swami Shankarananda, it was like that.
Excellent.
And I will also say, so this is one of my foundational observations. My understanding is that every human, we arrive in time and space carrying wisdom. And so that's the way that I encounter every human. It's sort of like I'm greeting the wisdom in them. I'm greeting their skills. I'm greeting their strengths. And so I think I'm a professor in a university classroom as well. Dr. Ellis, Professor Ellis is the name that students know me by there in that context. And I think for everyone, when we greet humans in that way, and this is true, like if we're in line at the grocery store, or if we're like riding the bus or the train or driving in traffic as well, what happens then is there's almost like, there's a relaxing. The humans that we encounter sort of relax. They're aware that we are greeting what's amazing in them and what's awesome in them. And then they feel free and empowered to share that. And so for me, two of the ways that I see that is like in the university classroom, That's the way students respond in the meditation community. That's the way meditators respond. And in the meditation community, we have everyone from all backgrounds. So all backgrounds in every single way. People from age 10 to into their 90s are meditating with us from all professions and all walks of life. And there's just this amazing way in which there's almost like a universal friendship that you end up recognizing with all other humans. And so then when you move through the world in that way, your life changes. I mean, there's just
So
no
let me
question.
ask you, let me stop you, and because we get into the nitty gritty here, and I got to ask questions that I want to know, and I believe others want to know. And so you say this universal friendship that you like when you meet people, you have this universal friendship. My question is, do you feel this light? Do you feel this friendship? I mean, is it kind of like why I felt something talking to you about the weather? Or is this just a knowing, you just kind of know that we're all connected? So what's the difference, or is there a difference? And what should people that are going to adopt or are trying to adopt this mindset that you're talking about, what should they expect?
Fantastic. So I would say that it goes much deeper than a concept. You could call it like a direct knowing, and you're absolutely right. It's one with feeling as well. And so you can just sort of feel. I mean, I think you're absolutely right. Derick and I were talking about the weather, and it's like you can talk about anything. And then also when you're moving in this field of universal friendship, you can talk to anyone, like anyone. And it's fun. And you're sort of just like, it's everything from like, I got trapped on an elevator once with people. And I was in a foreign country and I didn't particularly speak their language very well. But by the time we walked out of the elevator, we were all laughing. We were all, we could have
Excellent.
been not laughing. We could have
Exactly.
been very highly concerned because we were trapped in an elevator. But we were laughing. We were joking, and my language skills were limited. And so that's another thing to say as well, is like it's not based on the language that we use with words. And so that's to say, like, if you do speak a different language, or you do come from a different background in any way from anyone, when you're connected with this universal friendship or this universal current of life energy,
Right.
it helps you connect. And so it also has deeply practical consequences, like gets you out of those stuck moments if you find yourself stuck in an elevator. But also if you think about like for clients or for business contacts or for, like if you're a teacher or you're a doctor or a surgeon or a dentist or an attorney, like whoever it is that you're encountering, when you're interacting with them in this way, just like success arises naturally from
Right.
this.
So, I don't have to ask you that first question because you answered it. You did. You really did. My first question, which is my last question, and you don't have to answer because you just answered it, was going to be, or you've answered it in this initial part of our conversation, is what do you want people to walk away with? But man, if they walk away with what you just said over the last 3-4 minutes, that's it. So I'm going to ask you a different question.
Okay.
Because I think it has significant meaning, and the listeners, for those of you that aren't watching this on YouTube or some type of video, I'm going to call her Dr. Swami, since she's a professor and a yoga expert. So Dr. Swami's wearing this beautiful orange color outfit trimmed with a little gold. And the reason why I'm telling you what she's wearing, not because I am so childish, it's because my next question is, I've seen some of your media, I've seen some of your content, and you wear this color frequently. What is the meaning of this amazing color orange that seems to radiate the rest of you?
Awesome. Thanks for that question. So actually it's actually called Swami Orange. And so
I love it.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's Swami Orange. And so my teacher, Swami Nityananda, if you visit awakeyogameditation.org, our website, and you look at our spiritual heritage links, you'll see photos of him. And he's wearing this dynamic radiant orange too. And so it symbolizes a lot of different things, but it does actually symbolize what we were just talking about, believe it or not. So it's sort of like that, the same way that the sun radiates and it shines on everyone. And so that's the ideal for a Swami, but I would actually say that's also the ideal for everyone from all
So, but
backgrounds.
let me ask you this question, because our auras have colors,
Yep.
correct? And we know the chakras and they all have colors. Is this representative of your aura, your disposition? And does everybody, I assumed and thought that everybody had not everybody had a different color, because there's only so many colors, but not everybody was really like kind of emitting the same frequency, vibration, and color. But is that wrong, right? Or is that just insignificant?
So I would actually say go to the source of all colors. I mean, I think like that's my primary advice, because
So you're
if
saying
you
God has a color?
got the source of all colors. So
All right.
the source of all colors is colorless, but all colors arise from the
Okay.
source of all colors. And so if you're asking like what chakra is orange associated with, traditionally it would be associated with the second chakra, which is associated with creativity.
Mm-hmm.
And for the Swami, I think, and for every human, this is the invitation. It also represents going beyond limitation. So it also represents having walked through a fire of transformation.
Hey,
So
now you're talking 24K life. So
yeah,
the whole premise behind 24K life is that in order to get pure gold, gold has to go through a transformation of extreme intense heat. That heat eliminates the lead, it eliminates the copper, the nickel, the brass, all the elements that separate it out so that you can get pure gold. And like pure gold, if we go through the same process of eliminating our short-term limiting beliefs, if we get rid of our procrastination, if we get rid of our things that hold us back, that we can also be a transformed being and be the best version of ourselves, hence 24K gold or the 24K life. So I love that analogy. But my real question was much more relating to the fact of, if I feel like, if I look at the chakras and I say, hey, I feel more of the purple, should I be wearing purple? You know, since you wear orange and Swami wears orange, should you be wearing the colors that you feel like you're emanating, and does that boost that emanation in your universe?
good question. I mean, so let me just think about this for me first. So I wear orange, and it's a sort of like marker of respect to
Mm-hmm.
my tradition. It's a marker of respect to my teacher. It's a marker of respect to what you just talked about, like
Okay.
honoring the transformation that all humans go through, and honoring as well that what you were talking about as gold, it's already with every human. So your 24 karat gold self, to use that metaphor, it's you. It's
Absolutely.
already here. And then what you're doing is just letting go of anything and that blocks the full expression of that. And so then the second part of your question was, yes, I mean, colors can help. You know, like if you tune into a particular color and you feel that that helps you feel centered or calm or grounded or balanced, by all means, go with that color. And so I think that would be my invitation is, it doesn't have to be super abstract, but just if you have a feeling like you're standing in your closet and you're having a feeling of like, oh, I feel like wearing dark blue today, and that just helps you feel kind of calm and centered and peaceful and steady, please trust that feeling. And if you have a feeling one day of, oh, this green color is really calling to me, and that might help your heart feel really open, and you
Mhm.
might have a feeling of like fresh energy in yourself. Absolutely.
Right.
But I would say it doesn't have to be like highly conceptual, and you don't
Okay.
have to memorize any color charts or anything like that. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. So this next question is not loaded. Now, I have been known in my normal day-to-day life to ask tons of loaded questions. So what I'm saying to you is that this is an innocent question. So please do not take offense. It is innocent, and I'm saying it's innocent. I promise you, this is innocent. But in our universe right now, in our social agenda world right now, everybody's talking and encouraging people. Everybody's a life coach, and they want to tell everybody you should be authentic and be authentically you. And here's the question, and that's why I'm softballing this up, because I don't want you to be mad at me. How do you differentiate authenticity when you go to school and your doctor, and you go other places and you're Swami? So now it looks like I would love to go and say I'm Batman, you know, in certain circles, and other circles I'm just Derick.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, it's not a loaded question. I really want to know
Yeah.
how you merge those two and why you aren't Swami everywhere, because it seems to be maybe it's not the dominant persona, but it seems to be the dominant persona. I would imagine it's the dominant persona. How come you're not Dr. Swami in the classroom?
Well, so I would say there's no separation. So
Okay.
for me, there's absolutely no separation. And I would actually say as well, the light in each of us is beyond name.
Okay.
And so I'm always coming from the light in me that is beyond name. And I'm also always connecting with the light within everyone that is beyond name. And so it's also beyond titles. It's beyond Swami, it's beyond doctor. So for me, there's absolutely no conflict and it's not confusing. And if anyone wanted to call me whatever they want to call me, chances are I would respond to them.
Right.
So yeah. So I mean, I can just give an example. When I walk into the university classroom, the first word that I say is welcome. Every classroom, always. And so I also very specifically say to students, I welcome you and I want to help foster a space here where everyone feels respected and welcome and honored and connected and included. I'm part of helping create that. And I really welcome your being part of helping create that. Okay. So for every person in the classroom, to allow yourself to feel welcome and connected, and then also to extend that feeling of welcome and connection to everyone else. And it's actually the same. So my first word in the meditation community is welcome. And I actually, in the meditation community context, I say 1,000 welcomes.
There you go.
I think
there's separation. There's separation. In the classroom, we get one. I'm a lowly student. I get one welcome. And if I'm a yoga participant, I get 1,000. I'd rather be the yoga participant.
I think it's because I think university students would be terrified if I said 1,000 welcomes.
There you go. There you go.
Oh my
yeah,
God,
they're
I
kids.
need to run.
Right.
So
now, what subject matter do you teach?
So I teach literature, and the literature that I teach is also about liberation. So it's
Excellent.
also about like living in truth and justice and hope and freedom.
So you just float through life. You just float through. you just float through and at work. You float through in your hobbies. I love it. No, seriously. I feel like that you are doing what I do to the extent, and this is, I'm only saying this because I can relate to you, is like, when I'm not working, I'm thinking about how I can help people with their financial universe. And if I read somebody at the grocery store and they're, complaining about something, we talk about, okay, well, are you doing these things financially? And are you in control of your habits? And when I'm at work, I talk about it. So like, I'm always just talking about it and it makes me happy. So, so I'm connected with that immensely. And so I can connect with you floating through doing what you do best in your love and light. Now tell us, how did you actually come to the Awaken Yoga community?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, so if I could take it all the way back to the beginning, and I'm inviting listeners to think about this as well. When I remember my earliest awareness, like my earliest awareness as a human, I was aware of myself connected to nature. And so I was aware that I'm connected to the natural world connected to me. I was also aware that I'm connected to other humans and almost like to community. And I was aware that all of this, I would call it, is sacred, whatever your word for that is. Like, it's beautiful, it's pure, it's amazing to be here. And so I'm inviting listeners to think about, for me, nature is one of the kind of natural points of entry for that connectedness and that awareness. And I'm inviting listeners to think about, for you, what are your natural points of connection? And these are simple. They're sort of like, when I dance, I feel just amazing and free in my body. Or like when I sing, and it doesn't matter, you don't have to sing on key. When I sing, I just feel like my heart is open and that sound is just sharing through me. Or Derick, you were just talking about like this, like you have this amazing joy about helping people, being of service and assistance and empowering people to connect with their strength that they already have. And so for every listener, it's thinking about sort of like your natural languages, like what are your natural languages? And so for me, that natural awareness that's been present with me my whole life, as soon as I started practicing yoga, and I'll say a couple words about that in a second, and as soon as I started practicing meditation, it was just like completeness is here, if that makes sense. So completeness is here for every listener the whole way through. From the moment that we arrive in time and space, the whole way through, completeness is here. So for me, I first started practicing yoga. There were 2 weeks, like right in a row. One friend said to me, "You should do yoga." And then the next week, another friend said, "You should do yoga." I was like, "Okay, I'm listening." And so with that friend, I live in Baltimore, and she lived like halfway between me and the yoga studio. So for a couple of years, I would just pick her up on the way to the yoga studio.
Right.
And then I immediately like recognized yoga. Like I could feel the way that the yoga practices, the yoga asana, move energy in the body. It was just like a natural language to me. And the same thing, I almost immediately started meditating, and there was just like this recognition of, oh, this is amazing. And I would also just say, for any listener who does not meditate, meditation is not scary. It's not hard. It's you loving what you love in purity. So like if you love what you would call God, or you love the divine, or you love nature, or you love art or beauty or music or kids or elders or whatever you love, you just, in meditation, you merge with that pure love. And so it's sweet and it's beautiful. It's not hard. It's super accessible. And it's also like, if you are a person who prays, I am a person who prays. What my teacher said was, praying is like talking to God, and meditation is like listening to God.
There you
And
go. I
so,
love it.
yeah. So if you pray, then make sure to allow some quiet so that you can hear the answer. And then what happens is, as you pray, as you meditate, what happens is you discover the completeness that is already here. Sort of
Excellent.
like, you know, if you want to use the word the divine or God, it's like the divine has already got this. And so you get to connect with that completeness, and you get to connect with that beauty. You get to connect with that strength that is already there. So I know you also asked, when did I meet my teacher? That was in 2010. And it was
Okay.
just amazing joy. Like I walked into a meditation, I saw my teacher, and I would say, for listeners, connect with this as well. It was like a pivotal moment. Like when I saw my teacher, it was just like a core moment. And from that core moment, like everything since then has unfolded. And
I
it's
love it.
been joy. Yeah, it's
I
been
love
joy.
it. I love it. So I want to know about, because I love the name of this book. So I have to ask about it. The name of your book is Tattooing the World.
Absolutely. So that's a book. The name of the author is Juniper Ellis on that particular book. And it's a book published by Columbia University Press.
Mhm.
And it tells the story of the way that tattoos traveled from Oceania, from Tahiti and Samoa and other places in Oceania, to the rest of the world. And the way that tattoos carry sacred meanings in that context, where they orient the bearer of the tattoo in relation to the earth and the sky and the sea and the ancestors and the divine and the cosmos. And in that particular context, tattoos show that one is ready to be of service. So they show that one is ready to be of service to the community. And then it tells the story how tattoos traveled from there. Captain James Cook from England was traveling around the world in 1769, and he and his sailors observed these patterns, and sailors copied the patterns on their skin and then traveled. And so the patterns
Really?
spread like wildfire throughout the world. Captain Cook's writing about the tattoos also became the equivalent of a bestseller. And so there was like this huge dynamic interest in these patterns in Europe. And the word tattoo actually comes from tatau in Tahitian and in Samoan. And so we owe that that art to Oceania. And it just tells the story of the way that different humans use tattoos to say, this is who I am, this is where I'm going, this is what is beautiful and meaningful and profound and sacred to me.
So how did that come to you to want to dedicate the time it takes to write a book, which I've written one, so I know how much time it takes to write one. How did it come to you, or how was it you're being led or feeling led to write about tattoos?
So I think there was a kind of like a combination of Oceania is an amazing region of the world. And my entire adult life, I've had the joy of teaching literature from Oceania in the university classroom. And so I was aware that the origin of the art was there. And then at the same time, there became increasingly visible numbers of my university students who came to class wearing visible tattoos. And that was like a new shift, that the tattoos were visible and that young people were sort of making this as part of their public
Now, what
declaration.
year was this, give or take?
So the book itself was
Well, not the
published.
book, the
Yeah.
year the students started showing their tats.
I'm trying to think about it. I mean, it's been, like maybe 20 years.
Is it really? Because I
Yeah.
remember, I can't tell you when. My memory's difficult sometimes. But I remember, if you were a service provider, like at a bookstore or a restaurant, and you had tattoos, they would wear sleeves, they would cover them up, and they would wear Band-Aids on their neck if they had a neck tattoo. And then the next year, all that was gone. I don't know if it happened that fast, but it just seemed like the tattoos were still this underground, or not necessarily professionally acceptable. And then boom, out of the blue, it was like, yeah, it's okay. You can show whatever you want to show.
It's amazing how quick transformation can occur.
Yeah, so I was just relating that to what you were saying about it appearing in your students. Now, do you personally have tattoos? Is that in the yoga world or not really?
I do not have tattoos.
Okay.
I'm
You are
happy
dedicated to your book. I mean, you aren't dedicated to this work. Don't actors and actresses and authors dive into their content?
So I will tell you, there was a rumor on campus. The university students told me that I had a full back tattoo because I had written this book.
Yeah, there you go. I like that rumor. That is too funny. Kids will come up with some stuff, that's for sure. So did you, where's your book available? Let me ask you that question.
Sure. So, I mean, it would definitely be available like at Columbia University Press on their website, but it's also widely available like on Amazon.com.
Okay. Now, is this a like a student manual, educational type book, or is this I want to sit down and learn more about the history of tattoos, and I can absorb this like a normal book?
So I mean, it's a scholarly book.
Okay.
And it also, when it was published, it won an award for best book by a Baltimore author, which is cool. I'm very grateful for that.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. So it's a scholarly book. And so I think it's not like a book that you would sit down and read at one reading. But I think like if you were interested in learning about the meaning of tattoos in Oceania, it's like profoundly significant, really deep and really sacred. And it has to do with like, how do I form my identity? Like as an individual and in relation to other humans, in relation to the land and the sky and the divine and the cosmos, how do I form my identity? And so I'm laughing as well because I've taught about tattoo at the university. And I remember a student who told a story about their friend who has an angry sheep tattoo.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if the angry sheep tattoo has exactly that same cosmological meaning that I was just talking about.
Obviously, it does for them, between their God and their energy and their life circumstances. It must relate to them somehow.
It might.
That's very cute. So, I think a lot of people think of yoga, or they hear the word yoga, and they think about it in terms of, oh, I need to go exercise. But yoga is so much more than that. If I was a novice and I, ask you, well, what's yoga all about? What would you say?
So yoga is about living in joy and freedom in your life, right where you are right now. It's about being your highest, best self.
And how do you practice that?
So interestingly enough, I talked about how my entry point was the yoga of asanas, the yoga that you do at a yoga studio. And so I think for most listeners, that's probably an entry point a lot of people would consider familiar. And I don't know what the numbers are now, but it's something like 20 to 30 million Americans do practice yoga asana, the yoga of postures. The traditional teachings about yoga say that the yoga of postures is to ready you, to help you be calm and balanced so that you can meditate. And so at Awake Yoga Meditation, we actually start with a meditation. Like that's what we lead with.
So you lead with, I'm confused. You lead with the meditation, but you just said that the yoga asana is what gets you positioned and ready for the meditation.
So traditionally, but what
Okay.
we sort of do, there's a lot of different yoga studios, like probably listeners are aware, there are so many different yoga studios. So that service is already being provided, if you want to put
Got
it
you.
that way.
Okay.
But so for people who do practice yoga asana and feel ready for a meditation practice, hop on to awakeyogameditation.org. You're welcome to join. We have meditations Sundays, Tuesdays, and Fridays, and they're all on Zoom and YouTube. We also meet in person Sundays as well.
So for you listeners, I have posted up the website. It is awakeyogameditation.org. And if you know how to spell, you got it. awakeyogameditation.org. And you can go check it out if it's on Zoom. If you have some time, if you don't have some time, I'm sure they have plenty of classes, courses, and opportunities for you to check it out and engage. Well, that is, to me, just amazing. I can feel your calmness. I'm sure that people that encounter you that are frustrated for some reason, unbeknownst to themselves, start feeling more calm and therefore have a little bit more clarity. So I enjoy our conversation. I enjoyed your story. You are a very vast individual. And I think that that is an asset to the world. So that just helps other people understand that they can figure out a place to fit in as well. Any parting words, Swami?
Derick, thank you. It's amazing to talk with you. Thanks for sharing your energy, your light, your brightness, your inspiration with me and with so many.
Thank you so much. I'll be right back. Okay, folks. So, thank you for listening. And I hope that for those of you that are watching, and if you're just listening and you want to see it, go to our YouTube channel, 24K Life. It's Derick Gant, 24K Life. And what you're going to see, and the reason why I'm encouraging for you to go check it out is you're going to see the light. I promise you, you're going to see it. You're going to see it not just because she smiles, but because you can tell that she is an active practitioner of what we talked about. She's living what she's talking about. And for those very few people in the universe that actually do what they say, they don't have to beat it over your head. You can feel it, you can see it, you can experience it yourself. I believe that each and every one of us needs a yoga practice. And notice I asked her specifically what yoga was, and she did not mention exercise off the gate. She did say it's how most people are initially introduced to the yoga practice, but it is much more than just yoga asana. So with that, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Make sure that you spend some time doing some homework. And if you have an opportunity, I'm encouraging you to go to awakenyogameditation.org and check out Dr. Swami. Hey, I'm Derick Gant. I want you to be your best, bring your best, leave nothing to chance. Thank you.